This series is going to be a little something different. The world is a vast place, but the world beyond is even more vast. So, here's a little bit of something that'll make you think and ponder. What if? Is this far off? Far out? Is this pie in the sky? Is this a bunch of nonsense? Yes, I watch the History Channel. Yes, I watch Unsolved Mysteries. These things tend to fascinate me from time to time. So, without further ado,
We have been visited in the past by extraterrestrial beings. Did ancient aliens really help to shape our history? And if so, might mankind's greatest moments have been influenced by alien encounters? Japan, March 11, 2011. Emanating 43 miles off the eastern coast of the Yoshika Peninsula. One of the largest earthquakes in recorded history, a magnitude 9.0, shakes the massive movement of two tectonic plates instantly moves the entire Japanese mainland some 8 feet,
that's a lot.
billions, setting fires and killing thousands of people. But the worst is yet to come.
That's crazy.
The earthquake also triggers enormous tsunamis. Waves as high as 130 feet
Just had one a few years ago.
on shore, with devastating consequences.
One wave in particular struck the Fukushima Daiichi power generating plant and overwhelmed the safety systems, which caused the plant to enter a critical phase and release radioactive material into the atmosphere, into the water.
With the nuclear power plant's reactors melting down and radiation seeping into the atmosphere, the authorities evacuate the region.
I bet they did.
People who remain are employees who struggle for days to prevent a larger catastrophe from occurring. But according to eyewitnesses on the scene, these workers were not alone.
There were UFO sightings reported in some significant numbers in that area in the weeks and the days leading up to earthquake and tsunami. And there were a number of UFO sightings reported in the immediate area.
Man, if they want to, they can just go to our nuclear power plants, places, our chemical plants and stuff we be messing around with, science labs, and they could just set them things off anytime they feel like it. I mean, what would be able to stop them if they really wanted to?
Directly afterward.
And this suggests the possibility that extraterrestrials were involved in stabilizing that situation. Because had that Fukushima plant melted down, it would have made a large swath of Asia uninhabitable for a very long time. It's possible
that extraterrestrials became aware of this meltdown and they did something to lessen the impact of the disaster and ultimately save
Fair use, fair use.
could extraterrestrials really be present at the Fukushima meltdown? What can alter man prevent an even more catastrophic disaster? Maybe Jasper theorists point out that simply encountering some strange objects seen in the sky could also reveal true energy data during the meltdown of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine.
Another witnesses reported that there were UFOs hovering around the power station and that even beams of light were coming down from these UFOs and doing something to the nuclear power plants and keeping them from having a much worse meltdown than they did have.
Some have speculated that the UFOs that were seen during the crisis may have been perhaps protecting us, trying to stave off a hard nuclear explosion, or not protecting us, at least protecting our world.
Or is it simply good
And it's possible it was not an accident. To knock us off. My man Dave, wearing the same hairstyle for 50 years.
Interesting legend passed down temple times itself that when Moses ascended to Mount Sinai to speak with God, a cloud came down from heaven and told Moses, "Come into the cloud to ascend to God." The door opened in the cloud. Moses
Coming from the cloud.
ascended.
For all you Christians out there, in the scriptures, don't it say something about Jesus coming down from the clouds? Coming on the clouds or something like that? And when we were all younger, we were thinking, no, he would come back. For the most part, we all thought, oh, he'd be flying like Superman or whatever, coming on the clouds, coming through the clouds. Never really, at least me personally, never really thought that, okay, could that possibly mean that the cloud itself might have been some kind of spacecraft? Jesus coming back on the clouds, the cloud being the vehicle he would be driving as opposed to flying like Superman, superpowers, flying like Goku, you know? Loud noises. The power of the craft, maybe. The sound of, a lot of the stories when they talk about these crafts, they would move swiftly with no sound at all. But maybe this particular craft, as I use air quotes, maybe this particular craft, maybe it had an engine. Maybe it actually made sounds, thunderous sounds, like how we have muscle cars down here on Earth with us. Those of us that like our muscle cars, those of us that like our Hellcats, Camaros, Vets, luxury muscle cars, Lambos, Bugattis. Those powerful engines make thunderous noise. So, just a little thought.
Sing or they use different names and the stories change, but the basic stories are always the same. Somebody ascended, loud noise, smoke, fire. Humans could not understand what it was. They misinterpreted and believed that this was God or the gods. It's just a misinterpretation. I am absolutely sure there's no doubt that we were visited by beings from outer space.
According to ancient astronaut theorists, such accounts about earthly encounters can be found in every major religion,
Every
including
single
Islam,
one.
where the angel Gabriel, also known as Jibril, was said to be the intermediary between the Prophet Muhammad and the Muslim god Allah.
Jibril normally would come and dispense wisdom to Muhammad inside this cave that he was dwelling in. But on 2 occasions, Muhammad did not meet Jibril in the cave in person. Muhammad went outside the cave, and it was at this time that something absolutely fantastic happened. What did Muhammad see when he went outside the cave? The records show that there was a magnificent shining object there in front of him. It was said to have 600 wings, and it was
Damn.
burning as if it was on fire. What do we know of in modern times that could add up to a sighting like that? It's obvious. A craft that
Yep.
would be hovering there in front of him, giving off brilliant white light that he interpreted as fire. And when he went out and saw this magnificent shining object, the same wisdom that he was getting from Jibril was imparted to him, though he could not see any being. He only could see this object.
Is it possible that many of the stories of gods and angels descending from the heavens are
Misinterpretations.
not actually
Through
divine
religion.
events, but extraterrestrial visitations? And if so, are they purposely guiding our future?
Just like the gods and
Ancient astronaut theorists believe
what everybody perceive as Jesus, Jehovah, Yahweh, the Most High, no matter what, Allah, Moses, no matter what anointed names that's given, this comes from the limited understanding of human beings on this planet. Those names, those written names, and how they're interpreted through the mind of man could just be a literal changing from whoever and whatever the Anunnaki would be. And we change the names, but maybe what we're worshiping is not what we've been taught all these years. And I'm talking about all religions. Maybe you're studying and reading about the Anunnaki, and the names have just changed. Just a thought.
further evidence can be found by examining a famous vision so important it changed the course of human history. Rome, October 27th, 312 AD. Just north of the city, the Emperor Constantine leads his troops for the Milvian Bridge and a decisive battle with Maxentius to reclaim his throne.
Give me that throne.
At stake is control over the western part of the vast Roman Empire. According to an account from the historian Eusebius, on the eve of the battle, Constantine looks up into the sky and sees what he believes is a divine vision.
Constantine and his followers saw in the sky what their chroniclers say
A
was
misinterpretation.
huge,
I'm willing to bet.
white, fiery cross. Now, his followers didn't know what to make of this.
Could
but
very well
Constantine
craft.
decided that this was the Christian cross.
Constantine feels, after viewing this extraordinary sign from the heavens, this lighted cross in the sky, that he will go forth the next day and he will conquer the Roman Empire. And this is exactly what he does. This vision becomes one of the crucial turning points in human history.
After winning the brutal Battle of Milvian Bridge, Constantine consolidates his power and begins a campaign of religious tolerance across the empire, and he himself converts to Christianity. But what exactly did Constantine see in the sky?
Is that how it went
that
down?
ended up changing
I'm asking
the
all
course
my
of Western civilization?
Christians out there.
Was it a divine vision or something else?
Feel free
Don't
to
we
comment in the
always
comment
see
section.
up in the
Share your
sky
thoughts.
When we look
Share
at
your
planes,
experiences. Share your
because they
information.
have lights on the sides and at the front. And if you have a little bit of light shining on it, sometimes they look like crosses. So we have to ask ourselves, is it possible this was absolutely no Christian symbol at all, but that it was adapted over time after something that was witnessed up in the sky?
Is it possible that extraterrestrials were responsible for Constantine's vision? Ancient astronaut theorists say one compelling piece of evidence that aliens have tried to manipulate mankind through religious visions still exists today.
The manipulation
City.
part definitely exists today
December 1531.
from all religions.
According to an account called the Nican Mopoa, published in the Aztec language of Nahuatl, a peasant named Juan Diego was walking in the countryside when he heard a beautiful voice singing on the other side of a hill. Diego climbed the hill and saw an angelic vision, a woman in white garments that shone like the sun.
And she said to him, Juan Diego, I am the Virgin Mary, and I am asking you to build a sanctuary for me here on this hill. Well, Juan Diego fell to
The Juan Diego dude, they refer to him as a peasant, so I guess it's safe to say he was kind of poor, this and that. We don't know. His health could have been in decline at the time. He could have been having a health issue. He might have been having a stroke and maybe had these visions. We don't know. So let's present all sides of the what if, because none of us really know, and none of us will know in totality until after we have passed on. Then a lot of these questions, concerns, and thoughts will be answered. But as far as right now, no matter what denomination you are, what your religious beliefs are, no matter what you think you know and don't know, one thing is for certain, me included, we're all just guessing in this lifetime. We're all guessing. We all think certain things based off of our information, what we've seen and experienced in our lives. We think. We don't know. No matter what somebody tells you, they can't put you in heaven. They can't put you in hell. All they can do is tell you what they think, which is their limitations, as well as yours. Nobody knows for sure, so let's keep that in perspective.
his knees in awe, and he said, Great lady, I will do as you desire.
But according to the story, Juan Diego couldn't convince the local bishop that he had actually seen the Virgin Mary. So he went back to the hill, where he again saw the vision.
He says, Lady, please give me a sign, because nobody believes me when I tell them that I have seen you. And she says, Juan Diego, take off your cloak. He does. He takes off his cloak, and she fills his cloak with roses.
He took the roses to the bishop, and the bishop fell down on his knees, because it wasn't the roses as to why he believed the story from Diego, but inside the tilma was a painting of the Virgin Mother. And the bishop believed, and they built the church on that hill.
His cloak still exists today, and despite its frail fabric, it has reportedly remained in pristine condition despite the cruel ravages of time.
Right now, you can go to the church and see the tilma hanging there, and it is not degraded over the 400 plus years that they've had it. It's been through a fire, it's been through an explosion, where purportedly an iron cross was twisted from the explosion, but the tilma right next to the cross was still fine.
Could the sacred image on the cloak really be evidence of visitation by the Virgin Mary? Or might it have a different, otherworldly explanation? In addition to the inexplicably enduring for hundreds of years, those who have studied it have found other unexplainable qualities.
Most bizarre of all are the eyes of the image. Approximately 7 to 8 millimeters wide. What we see inside those eyes is a highly enigmatic mystery, because it appears that there are characters in the eyes, the faces of the people who were there
that can
at
be
the
interpreted
time
any
the
kind of
tilma
way.
was unveiled by Our Lady of Guadalupe in 1531.
But if Our Lady of Guadalupe really does have otherworldly origins, did it come from a heavenly realm or somewhere else?
Another dimension,
Not only do
perhaps?
astronaut theorists believe Juan Diego's vision was an extraterrestrial encounter, but even some members of the church claim that it was something other than a religious experience.
Our Lady of Guadalupe is definitely a heavenly visitor. In my opinion, though, what her story said disagrees with what the Bible says. In fact, she said she would protect the people that worship at the church. What that does is really deify Mary, when the Bible is very clear that only God can protect those that serve him. And so any otherworldly being that demands worship or respect, it cannot be an angel from God.
Juan Diego may have witnessed not just an apparition, but an actual live extraterrestrial appearing through some sort of advanced technology, whose mission was to impart spiritual faith and a thirst for the divine.
Could it be that some of history's most significant religious visions have actually been produced by alien beings carrying out a secret mission?
That would be an easy way to do it.
Say yes.
So we
and believe
easily
further
manipulated
proof
the
that
human species.
extraterrestrials have been guiding our future can be found in the story of a mysterious magician that may help propel humanity into the modern age.
That's Enoch, right?
The English Channel, 1588. King Philip II of Spain has dispatched an enormous armada of ships to invade England. They are reportedly filled with more than 20,000 soldiers and scores of medieval torture devices. According to some historians, Philip, a devout Catholic, wants to bring the brutal Spanish Inquisition to England to punish Queen Elizabeth I and her subjects for leaving the Catholic Church.
Philip was a Catholic, and England had been turned Protestant by Elizabeth's father, Henry VIII, when he broke with the Catholic Church in order to marry Elizabeth's mother, Anne Boleyn. So, to Philip, the English were sinners, and their ways needed to be reformed. So he sent a great armada, a great fleet of over 130 ships. There had never been anything like it before.
We're gonna put y'all to bed out here.
England didn't have a lot of money, and a lot of their vessels were not even official government vessels. They were whatever merchant seamen and sailors could cobble together.
The Spanish Armada seemed invincible, and the British severely overmatched. But when the two forces finally met, superior English tactics and strategy forced the Armada to retreat. But the number of Spanish ships was so overwhelming that the English couldn't score a decisive victory until a freak storm struck.
The English ships were more maneuverable than the Spanish ships. In order to counter this, the Spanish cut their anchors, and they figured, well, let's get rid of some of this dead weight, so to speak. But
I mean, they call it a freak storm, but is it really a freak storm? It wasn't like they had meteorologists back then letting them know what the future weather pattern is gonna be. You know, it could have been just one of them things. They chose to go out when, you know, like in today's time, there's a 78% chance of precipitation. You know, so normally when we see that on our news broadcast, we're like, okay, it's definitely gonna rain tomorrow. Could have been the same situation here. They just chose to sell them ships at that point in time. It's like, yo, you know what? We're gonna invade this territory. We're gonna pop these dudes. And then all of a sudden, whoops, rainstorm. Maybe. What if? I don't know.
when the winds hit, they had no way to find a mooring, and then therefore the winds blew their ships all over the place, including into the coast. They lost roughly half their fleet due to weather.
From the point of view of the English people, this extraordinary storm that destroys the Spanish Armada is a miracle, destroying the might of Spain when mankind cannot do it.
Is it really a miracle?
This miraculous storm was the work of God. But some ancient astronaut theorists claim there is evidence that suggests it may have actually been the work of otherworldly beings.
Or maybe it was
Their
just
first
meant to
clue
rain
comes
that
from
day.
one of Queen Elizabeth's closest advisors, a mysterious man named John Dee.
John Dee was the court astrologer, mathematician, philosopher, medical doctor at the court of Queen Elizabeth I. He was an extraordinarily learned man for his time.
He dealt with magic and potions and what we might call spells to try to effect change. John Dee was a Hermetic thinker. Hermetic thinkers believed that there was a contemporary of Moses by the name of Hermes Trismegistus who lived in Egypt. And just as God revealed the Ten Commandments to Moses, God revealed to Hermes the secret knowledge of how nature worked, and that with the proper
So Herm was
mindset
like the first
and
meteorologist?
proper tools, that one could uncover essentially what God was thinking by reading the world.
According to legend, John
Herm
Dee
was
used
like,
this
"I'll
knowledge
tell
of
y'all when it's gonna
natural and
rain."
supernatural worlds to predict the storm that would ultimately thwart the Spanish Armada.
The story goes that John Dee told Queen Elizabeth not to worry because the storm would destroy the Spanish fleet. And then when it happened, it confirmed his knowledge of the world and what lay beneath it.
The first
But if John Dee
meteorologist.
really did make such a prophecy, what was the source? Was it something divine? Or is it possible, as ancient astronaut theorists contend, that this mysterious man was using Hermetic wisdom to establish communication with extraterrestrial beings?
John Dee was very interested in the occult and seemed to spend a lot of time harnessing or finding a way to communicate to life forms beyond this earth. We really don't understand the influence over John Dee as to how he was able to interpret such accurate information. It's very possible that John Dee was receiving his information from an outside source that was possibly an extraterrestrial.
But if John Dee's pursuit of Hermetic wisdom gave him insights into the alien agenda on Earth, what did he find?
What did he
And why would
find?
extraterrestrials want to sink the Spanish Armada?
It is possible that these extraterrestrials had a vested interest in preserving the monarchy of Queen Elizabeth, in seeing that the monarchy was not overthrown, and they repelled any such invading forces in order to make sure this carefully constructed power structure was kept fully intact.
Ancient astronaut theorists suggest extraterrestrials were not acting to favor Protestants over Catholics, but may have wanted to preserve the great cultural and scientific developments that would occur in England in the coming centuries.
What happened in England after Queen Elizabeth's time was nothing less than miraculous. We had the scientific revolution. We had people like Isaac Newton, and we had other great scientists develop what eventually became the Industrial Revolution, steam trains, electricity, and the modern world.
The period that followed also gave rise to champions of the scientific method, like Francis Bacon and John Locke, and led to an age of exploration would give rise to a greater investment in the still fledgling new land of America.
If the Spanish had succeeded in conquering England, they would have brought the Inquisition with them in a period of darkness and torture, and likely the Industrial Revolution never would have happened.
Might some other worldly entity really have intervened in the Spanish invasion, sending a storm to destroy their ships and ensure the future of England? And if so, is this a sign that aliens really do have an interest in our future? Perhaps the answer can be found by examining the vision that inspired one of the world's newest religions. Manchester, New York. September 21st, 1823.
Spooky
As he
full
goes in
moon.
bed, a 17-year-old farmhand
The werewolf
named
gonna
Joseph
jump out?
Smith begins to say
Or the
prayers.
chupacabra.
Suddenly, without warning, an overpowering light envelops his room, and a robed figure appears. According to Smith's account,
Yeah,
not
that's
only was his robe
something.
exceedingly white, but his whole person was glorious beyond description. Speaking from the center of the light, the angel, whose name is Moroni, sends Smith on a quest for several sacred texts hidden near a local tree.
Upon locating the tree, Joseph dug and indeed found the texts, but they recorded a language which he could not read. A second visitation from Moroni told Joseph Smith where he could find what we might call a device of some kind that would allow him to read the text.
Joseph Smith was given this translating stone, the Urim and the Thummim, with which he was able to not only write down this text, but also to be able to translate it.
He then translated the texts into English, which become the Book of Mormon. And it depicts, among other things, that after Jesus ascended into heaven, he came to the Americas and ministered to native peoples here to convert them to his way of life, and that at some point the texts that become the Book of Mormon are deposited here so that Joseph Smith could find them.
Those don't look like the real natives.
7 years later, Smith publishes these texts as part of the Book of Mormon, establishing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a denomination with more than 15 million followers today. Many religions worldwide have been founded with the help of angels, whether they're representatives of Christian, Muslim, or Buddhist gods. These apparitions are thought to be a way the gods intervene on Earth with humans.
Angels, when they appear in religious legends and in myths, generally are messengers between the heavenly realm and the human realm.
Throughout the Bible, we have stories of angels and demons appearing to mankind.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, Paul says that you be careful how you entertain strangers, because some of you entertain angels unaware. The Bible is very clear that angels
I
can
believe
take
that.
on human form and appear in the likeness of man.
That could definitely be a lesson for some of us out here. You come across people, a person they might have the appearance of someone who's homeless, they're down on their luck. They could be sitting by a store. You come out the store, they have the cup in their hand, and a lot of people tend to jump to the conclusion like, okay, this person just wants money just so they can buy alcohol or drugs to feed whatever addiction, whatever vice they may have. And we tend to automatically flip to the cynical side of our mind when we see random people out there, strangers. Then, just like what was just said in this video, you never know. That could be an angel that was placed in your path just to see how you would react, how you would treat them. A perfect stranger with the appearance of a vagabond, homeless, down on their luck for whatever reason. Or it could be a regular person that just happens to be there. And how you treat them and interact with them will go a long way to whatever higher power you believe in. So, pay attention to how you treat people. Some people have the, how can I say, the step on an ant syndrome. You're bigger, stronger, more powerful, and there's this little ant running around, and you just want to step on it and crush it to pieces, just kill it for no reason at all. And some of us tend to act like that when we have, let's say, more money than someone else. So we feel we're entitled to, let's just say, wipe our feet on them, as if that won't be viewed by whatever higher power you believe in also, as if that won't reflect badly on you to whatever higher power you believe in. So just a little lesson, something we all need to think about as we go along our lives, our daily travels. Anyway, random thought.
But ancient astronaut theorists suggest that sometimes these heavenly visions and apparitions may not actually be angels sent by an omniscient God. And curiously, the so-called angel that led Joseph Smith to the sacred texts that would become the Book of Mormon did not profess to have heavenly origins, but claimed to be from another part of the universe.
Now, Moroni did not say that he was an angel. He said that at one time he had lived on Earth, but that now he came from the Pleiades star cluster. And he said there were many others like him.
When we look at the background of the Book of Mormon, we see some very interesting parallels to what could be an extraterrestrial tale. This angel Moroni that appears to Joseph Smith seems to be more than just chance. It's very possible that Joseph Smith was interacting with a type of extraterrestrial.
These extraterrestrials may be giving these messages to world leaders and to prophets and seers and mystics to let us know that we are the product of an extraterrestrial interbreeding and an ongoing contact with these other people who were not born on Earth. And we have lost touch with that history only because we refuse to believe the truth that is recorded in our historical books. and see what's right in front of our faces, even now, with the encounters that are happening in the modern world.
But if an extraterrestrial being really did inspire Joseph Smith to found the Mormon Church, why? Joseph Smith's encounter ultimately led the Mormons to migrate west to establish a new Holy Land in Utah, which has led some to speculate that aliens, once again, were guiding the course of humanity.
Moroni let Joseph Smith know that he would be the prophet and he would lead his people to the New Jerusalem.
Mormonism is another example, potentially, of an extraterrestrial influence steering the course of our humanity and helping steer the outcome of historical events here on Earth.
Is it possible that Joseph Smith, the founder of the Mormon religion, was guided by an extraterrestrial being? And if so, was this alien encounter another attempt to guide us into a more enlightened age? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and believe further evidence can be found by examining a dream that helped defeat one of the 20th century's most diabolical dictators.
Really?
Olympia, Greece. This valley on the Peloponnesus Peninsula, once filled with temples, altars, and statues, is where the ancient Greeks came to pay tribute to their gods. Near the temple to Zeus, the king of the gods, was a sanctuary dedicated to the Moirai, the only beings that Zeus was said to fear. These mythical figures were believed to control destiny. English speakers call them the Fates.
In ancient times, fate and human destiny were thought to be in the hands of the gods. There was much less this idea that we're in charge of our own destiny and that we make our own lives through choices and decisions and action. The idea was that human destiny was in someone else's hands. It was in the hands of the Fates. There were three supernatural creatures: Clotho, who spun the thread of life; Lachesis, who wove it; and Atropos, who cut the thread at the moment of death. In the ancient times, gods and goddesses were thought to be able to influence people's destiny and that they were constantly interfering in human affairs. They were constantly
Probably
messing
still
with
do.
humans. They could make humans do all kinds of things. They could disguise themselves. They could trick humans. They could persuade humans.
Angels,
And yet, that
demons.
final moment of destiny was still in the hands of the Fates.
It's called
Other
choice.
ancient cultures had similar beliefs. The Egyptians personified fate as the god Shai, who was said to control the actions of humans. While the Vedic texts of ancient India talked about a universal order called Rita.
There was a similar legend in ancient Mesopotamia, and it was of the Mamatu, who was a goat-headed goddess who lived with the Anunnaki in the realms of the sky. The Mamatu was also in charge of
Those
your
could be
fate.
your gods
So you have to
that you
wonder,
worship.
was the Mamatu and these other gods of fate some kind of extraterrestrials that were controlling our lives?
I believe it's
As
possible.
some ancient astronaut theorists suggest that the gods, who were said to control our fate, were actually members of an alien civilization. And if so, how were they able to interfere in people's lives undetected? Some ancient astronaut theorists suggest
Probably make us forget.
that extraterrestrials not only communicate with us through visions and physical encounters,
Dreams.
but even through our dreams.
I know it.
New York City, spring 1940. At the Bell Laboratory Complex in Manhattan, a young engineer named David Parkinson is using a device called a potentiometer to track the varying electrical voltages that course through a telephone when people use it. Parkinson's work with potentiometers seems unimportant compared to the big news of the day.
The Nazis had begun their shattering bits on Britain.
Yeah, I can see how that would overshadow it.
Forcing the Allies to flee the continent in a ragtag flotilla of civilian boats after the Battle of Dunkirk.
The Nazis were almost undefeatable at this time in the war, and there was tremendous despair and fear amongst the Allied forces. And the story goes that David Parkinson had a dream one night, and in the dream, he was standing beside a certain type of gun. And that gun was hitting every Nazi plane with absolute accuracy.
Parkinson's dream gave him a brilliant idea. He could use the same technology that tracked electrical charges flowing through a telephone to track enemy airplanes flying through the sky.
And in the dream, he was able to see the technology that was created to make.
This is my first time seeing this. Random thought. Guy's name is Parkinson's. Did they perhaps name the debilitating disease after this guy? I'm wondering. Random thought.
This gun so accurate. And it's said that when he awoke, he went back to the labs and he ultimately created the technology that was necessary to shoot down Nazi aircraft.
Parkinson's dream inspired him to create the M9 electrical gun director, which allowed Allied anti-aircraft guns to hit moving targets like the dangerous V-1 rocket with incredible accuracy. But how could such an advanced weapon be completely realized in a single dream?
The weird part about it is, this guy was a scientist, but he knew nothing about aeronautics. Because David Parkinson had no background in aerodynamics, his contemporaries, other scientists, and the military were literally taking him not seriously at all. But he insisted, and he even spent a lot of his own time creating prototypes, which eventually were found to work.
Throughout human history, there are amazing stories of how mankind has been inspired through their dreams and through their visions. I think we have to ask ourselves,
see that.
what is the source of this inspiration? Where do these dreams and visions come from? Is it possible that we are being communicated with by otherworldly beings?
Could extraterrestrials really be using dreams to convey ideas and information to the human race? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and claim the proof that dream manipulation is a real possibility can be found in the human brain.
Okay, let's see it.
Throughout history, many of mankind's greatest thinkers have been inspired by their dreams. Scientist James Watson claimed the double helix structure of DNA came to him through his dream of a spiral staircase. Friedrich August Kekulé discovered the chemical structure of benzene when he had a dream of a group of snakes swallowing their tails. Srinivasa Ramanujan, whose mathematic principles are still being used by quantum physicists today, said that he obtained these mathematic theorems in dreams implanted in his mind by the Hindu goddess Namagiri.
Of which was probably an extraterrestrial. Anunnaki.
Being used to communicate information. But this is a widespread phenomenon. It's been going on for many thousands of years, and it continues right straight through to the present day.
Is it really possible that extraterrestrial beings could actually manipulate our dreams? Ancient astronaut theorists say
I believe
yes.
it's possible.
And as evidence, they point out that modern science is already starting to understand how to interpret and manipulate dreams. Morin Cerf is a neuroscientist.
Well, hook me
who
up, because
studies
I
human
got a
brain
lot
waves.
of questions.
In one of his experiments, he shows pictures
My
of
dreams be
test
vivid
subjects while
too.
they're awake and analyzes how the brains process the images.
So each of those little squares here corresponds to a cell in Matt's brain. So right now Matt has 128 electrodes in his brain. They come from all various parts of his brain, right, left, and so on. All of those wires go into this computer, and what you see here are the activities of those little cells in his brain. So if I pick cell number 36 and I double click on that, what you see here is the activity inside his brain. This is like a microphone sitting next to one cell in his brain.
Dr. Cerf can determine which cell stores the memory of a particular picture, like movie star Cary Grant, by analyzing which cell reacted when he showed it to his test subject. Once he's figured this out from dozens of cells, Dr. Cerf waits for his patients to go to sleep, and then watches for signs that they're dreaming about the images he has shown them. In a very basic way, he can see his patients' dreams. But in the future, Dr. Cerf will actually be able to dictate our dreams by stimulating the set of cells that store our memories about a person or event.
If I map the entire sequence, if I know all these, say, 1 million cells that encode Cary Grant in your brain, and know exactly what they are, and I activate all of them, I stimulate all of them, then you will actually see Cary.
It's very fascinating and very interesting what he's doing. But here's another what if thought. If he can accomplish this as far as knowing and understanding what a person is dreaming, the meaning of the dream, this and that, if he can abstract that out of somebody's mind to figure that out, in the wrong hands, would it be indeed possible to plant ideas and thoughts in someone's mind if you wanted them to do a particular thing sometime in the future, at an event, at a given time? You hear these thoughts all the time, people so-called sleepwalking, and they end up someplace they don't know how they got there. And in the movies, you see somebody actually carry out something, harm somebody. Then after it's done, they come to their senses. They don't remember anything that happened, what they just did. They don't remember how they got there. So what if? Would it indeed be possible, using this technology and information that this guy's talking about, to figure out what dreams mean, get information from the brain? Could you also plant information in the brain to get somebody to do something that you want them to do on a more sinister level? Just a thought, just a question. What if?
If aliens really have been coming to Earth for thousands of years, could they be using similar technology to manipulate our dreams?
Is it possible that the extraterrestrials don't want to directly interfere in our society, but to guide us from behind the scenes?
For better or for
Even
worse?
though they have to push us along in certain directions, we need to have the feeling that we're doing it, even if it does include some extraterrestrial guidance.
If they wanted to destroy us, they can also plant thoughts to make us destroy ourselves.
In order for them to provide guidance, but also to provide this guidance in a hands-off way.
Is it possible that they withdrew from our reality because...
Is it possible? What if? Let's say all this is possible. They don't want to directly interfere. Let's say there's some intergalactic penalties, some kind of intergalactic law that forbids them from directly interfering in a sovereign planet's affairs, the inhabitants of that planet. So therefore, they wanted to eliminate us and destroy us without violating the galactic law, creed, or whatever. The best way to do that would be to supplant information in our minds that will make us hate one another because of skin complexion, religious beliefs, man-made borders to countries, political ideologies, differences of religious sects, thoughts. Your religion is not like mine, so I'm going to use my army to destroy you, to kill you. I don't have as much money and possessions as you, so I'm going to plan a home invasion and kill whoever's in that house just to get the possessions that I want. Just take a look at the world. Could it be possible? A lot of us are being manipulated into destroying ourselves. So that, hypothetically speaking, because we don't know for sure, not really, but hypothetically speaking, if alien civilization wanted to get rid of us without violating intergalactical laws or whatever, just get us to kill ourselves, make ourselves extinct. Then they can just slide into the planet and take it as their own and do what they want. Is it possible? Maybe. What if?
So we had to modernize. It could be that the purpose of this was to give us the opportunity to follow them without being pushed. And if they forced it upon us, we would simply worship them as gods and we would have learned nothing. But by doing it ourselves, we form our own path, we actually make our own ascension experience, and we become much more like them in the process.
Has life
Maybe.
on Earth been influenced by alien encounters for thousands of years? Our divine visions, prophetic dreams, and modern-day UFO sightings, all signs that we are being manipulated by a more advanced race of beings. Could
What
it be
if?
that these encounters are not meant for them to get to know us, but for us to get to know them? And if so, what are they guiding us towards? Perhaps we are getting closer to our ultimate destination. And when we reach it, we once again be reunited with our alien ancestors.
Well, what if? I mean, none of us know for sure. But all you gotta do is take a look around how the world is, how politics have manipulated us to go against one another, to wage war and kill one another, how classism has done the same thing. Put poor against the rich, rich against the poor. Poor try to scrounge and do what they can to survive. They see the rich as food on a plate. The rich fight to protect what's theirs, rightfully so, because I'm definitely against thievery and stealing. But like what was mentioned in the video we just watched and heard, could some of us possibly be being manipulated by higher powers, misinterpreted as God or gods, plural, beings from an alien civilization, manipulating us into the atrocities you see in the world today, the ones that we've seen in the past? It's very much possible. Anyway, that's all I got for you right now. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. If you like the content, hit the Cash App, show some love. $ Cobra Clutch 357. Like and share my videos. That being said, I'm out.